What's up, everybody? I thought I'd go ahead and take a little video of two different types of mini aquaponics setups which I've made over the past couple months, just to maybe inspire some other people for ideas to do if they're trying to do some sort of setup similar, and to maybe help you with problems that I've ran into along the way. All right, so let's start with this little mini setup here first. And so pretty much all this is just a little 10-gallon tank. And then up here, I found a tote at Walmart that just happened to fit in perfectly. So this tote pretty much just sits right on the lip here. And then I grabbed the filter here and made a little hole for the filter that it sits in. This was just the aquarium filter that was already for this 10-gallon tank. Then it runs through the media bed, and then all I have over here is just some holes. And let me actually just turn everything on right now just so I can show you guys. I have everything as far as the pumps and the filters set to 30 minutes on and 30 minutes off. So let me just turn this on. All right, so you can see the water just overflows through the filter here, and then it drains out here. And pretty much what I did is I drilled some holes at the top level that I wanted the water to be. And I did this before I put any media or anything in here. And I just tested it a couple times and added more holes until the water level, reached where I wanted it to be. But all of the water still flowed out fine. And then I added some extra holes above, just in case for whatever reason the water wasn't flowing out, it could just escape through those holes. And then I just have a little piece of wood here just to hold everything in place nice and sturdy. So this was my first aquaponics build, and I started this not knowing much about aquaponics at all, really. But I knew I needed some sort of way to have the media bed full of water for about 30 minutes and drained for about 30 minutes. Then inside here, I started with 10 tetras. So I had 5 neon tetras and 5 of these other tetras. And I had this whole tank outside. So I had it outside in an area that got a little bit of sunlight, not a lot of sunlight, because I didn't want to boil up the fish. And I actually just today moved everything inside here because it's starting to get a little bit colder, and these fish will definitely die with the cold. Now, I think that's what happened. I have, 6 tetras left. And I had 4 deaths, and I think that was because it was just getting too cold at night, and so it wasn't a tropical temperature for these guys. Now I got them inside in a little heater here, so it should all be good. Now, if you look at the plants, I just threw in some random plants in here. First plant I threw in was a strawberry plant, and you can see that it's has lots of new leaves here, and it's been growing a lot. So it keeps shooting up new leaves here, here, and here. And so this was doing really well outside. I'm not sure how it's going to do in this indoor setup. Things might die. If you look here on this leaf, you can see a severe amount of yellowing and some burning. Now, part of this might be from it sitting in the media bed and getting a little bit wet, but I'm positive that it's some sort of deficiency. I haven't supplemented any of my tanks with any nutrients or anything yet, because I really didn't know the complications involved with aquaponics before I got into it. So it sounds like I'm definitely going to need to supplement iron, and I'll maybe need to supplement calcium and potassium as well, and try to figure out the best way to do that while managing pH and all those other things. Then I got a little marshmallow plant that I put in here, and I just took this from a little cutting of a plant we had grown outside. And as you can see here, it's still growing lots of new leaves, but on this older leaf here, you can see some burning on the ends. So it could be that I don't have enough ammonia in the system. Typically, from what I've researched, most people who do grow beds, and definitely on a bigger scale, have their grow bed at least a foot, or around a foot. Some people say that you can do 6 inches and that works fine. This is only a 4-inch grow bed. So I don't know if there's enough surface area in here to provide enough ammonia to convert to nitrite and then to nitrate. But it looks to me like it's been converting enough to grow these plants quite a bit. This plant here is a morning glory, which I actually just started from seed. So I just threw a seed in here and it popped up, and it's been growing good. But like the other ones, this leaf is looking a little pale, and so I'm going to try to figure out what to do with that. So all right, on to the next setup. So after I'd built that setup, I still wasn't satisfied, and we had this fish tank set up inside, and so I was like, you know, I think I can build a little bit of a better setup and something that will flood and drain automatically. So let me just show you the basic system that I have going on here. This is a 20-gallon tank, and I have a couple different fish in there. I have 2 mollies, 2 guppies, 3 Cory catfish, and a bunch of shrimp and nerite snails. Water goes from here. It overflows into the grow bed, and then from the grow bed goes down through this pipe over here and into the sump. Then from the sump, it's pumped back up into the aquarium. Okay, so now let's go through this in just a little bit more detail. So let's start at the grow bed. Originally in here, I had a bell siphon, and I had that set up right in here. And I got the bell siphon to work fine, and everything was working fine, and it was flooding and draining. The only thing was that I timed it all out, and it took about 1 minute to drain and about 2 minutes to fill. And so that was really fast, and lots and lots of water is being run through here. So I wanted to set up a timer on that. The only problem is there's no way to set up the timer to match the speed of the flood and drain, so I could guarantee an empty bed when my timer turned off. So what I ended up doing is actually taking out my whole bell siphon and doing something much, much simpler. So this is my media guard for my bell siphon, and I took out the whole internals of the bell siphon and just put a pipe in here, and there's just a pipe and a little hole at the bottom. So pretty much what happens is as water starts to fill up this bed, it will drain out that little hole in the bottom, but only so much. So only so much water can flow through that little hole, and it'll continue to drain, but the water that can't fit through the hole will fill up the rest of the bed, and it will go all the way up to the top and overflow at the top here. So the top of this pipe is what sets the water level for this. This way I can set a timer to turn on for 30 minutes, off for 30 minutes, or whatever I wanted. And it would actually, I can know from that, okay, this tank will be filled for 30 minutes, full of water, and it will have no water in it after 30 minutes. Because what happens is when the timer turns off and this pump turns off, the water will very slowly all drain out through the hole at the bottom of this pipe. So I wasted some time on the bell siphon, and I really liked the bell siphon, but I think it was just cycling much too fast. And I wanted to make sure I was matching similarly the amount of flood and drain time people get on larger scale projects. So the water drains out through here, and then it goes into my sump. So let me lift this up real quick. Okay, so in the sump, you can see I have water flowing out through here, and then I have you can't really see, But I have some heaters in here, so I don't have to keep them in my aquarium. Another thing that I have in here is a little air tubing. So I have some air tubing running through here from a little air pump, just with some leftover air tube lining, and I zip tied the end to seal it and then poked a whole bunch of holes in there so it would bubble out. I have a 5-gallon bucket right here. This is just an extra thing. I don't think I need this, but I thought I might as well do it because it's really cheap. A lot of people in the aquarium hobby build custom biological filters, and a cheap alternative to the expensive biological media is to use these scrubby pads from the dollar store. So you get 6 in these, I believe, in a pack for $1, and it's just really porous and has lots of surface area for nitrifying bacteria to build. So this is just an extra biological filter, super simple. I just have a bucket in here, I think a 3-gallon bucket with some holes on the bottom on one side. So the water has to pass through this vessel of surface area and go through some more biological filtration. I figured the one thing I always hear with aquaponics is the more biological filtration, the better. So the water goes out, circulates around here, and then back over to the pump on the other side. I have some air running through, which I don't know if I need, but I figured it would help aerate the water. This is a 27-gallon tote from Home Depot for about 10 bucks. And this up here is a 10-gallon tote. So you can see for the airline, I have a little splitter here, and half the air is going down to the biofilter, and the other half is actually running up here into an air stone that I have in the grow bed. And you might be able to see actually some air kind of bubbling through here. Now this is another total experiment. I mean, the whole aquaponics thing so far has been an experiment, but the air stone is another experiment I just decided to go for, just as a why not. I have a friend who's into aquaponics, and hydroponics, and he said that the air should help deliver more nutrients to the plant roots. So I just have it on one half of the bed, and it's just under a little plastic bin with a bunch of holes in it. So hopefully I can compare growth on that side of the bed and this side and see if the air stone is worth having in there, if it helps the plants, or whatever. So it runs through there, and then it gets pumped back up, and I actually have it just sitting in the filter that I have for this tank. So yeah, just running right through here. And so it actually does get another level of filtration here, which I'm not sure if I need, and I don't think I will need. I think once this filter is done, I'm just going to take it out and either hook the tube directly into here or just leave it in the filter because it flows it out nicely. So that is pretty much it. I just want to warn anyone who's trying to do a simple DIY mini aquaponics thing that it's much more complex than you initially think. When I looked into this, I actually got a little mini aquaponics thing as a gift here, which is a mini beta tank. It just has one beta, and it comes with some seeds. But as you can see, they die off. Everything sprouts off, and you think, awesome, aquaponics is easy. You just put a fish in there and some seeds, and then you get plants. But they all die. So you can sprout plants in here, or you could keep maybe semi-aquatic plants and bamboo and just leave them in there. But you're not going to be able to grow anything there past sprouting or be able to harvest anything. So as far as things being complicated, there's a lot to it. I mean, you have to manage your pH levels, and then you have to manage your nutrient levels. So a decent amount of, okay, so the main nutrient that you need is nitrate. Now that comes from nitrite, which comes from ammonia. And how that's all broken down is a bacteria that builds up in your biological filtration, which for a grow bed setup like this is going to be the grow bed itself. You have to cycle this for at least 6 weeks before you put plants in and expect any growth, because the bacteria needs to build up and it needs to be there to be able to convert the ammonia, which is toxic to your fish, and the nitrate or nitrite, which is unavailable to the plants, into nitrate. So it's plant available. So there's other nutrients you have to supplement with. You have to supplement iron for sure. I believe there's 3 main ones you have to supplement with, and that's iron, potassium, and calcium. You can get you have to get a specific form of iron that's chelated iron, and that way it will stay actually dispersed in the water. Regular iron will not, and so your plants won't be able to absorb it. There's a couple different types of chelated iron, each of which works at a different pH level. As far as calcium and potassium go, each of those affect the pH, either up or down. I don't remember which one. So there's a bunch of things that come into play here in having some sort of successful aquaponics system, and I haven't figured it all out yet. Not nearly any of it out yet. So if we look in the grow bed, just if you're curious what plants I have going on here, this is a morning glory that I had in here alongside this morning glory outside. And a couple weeks ago, I moved one of them from here into here. And this was the growth outside, and this is the new growth inside. And as you can see, the leaves are not looking the best. I mean, they're pretty green, but they're kind of bubbled a little bit. And so I think there's 2 things that this could be. One, I didn't wait the full 6 weeks to cycle this and thought I might as well throw on some experimental plants that I don't mind risking in here just to see what happens in the meantime. And so possibly there's not enough nitrate in here for this plant, and possibly nutrient deficiencies. This is a little cutting of lemon balm, and this was sitting in that one for a couple weeks outside as well, and it was doing all right. As you can see now, it has 2 little leaves, 2 new growths up there, and they both look burnt. So possible I don't have enough nitrate. This is a radish, just another experiment, and I just threw the radish seed in here and it sprouted, and this actually seems to be growing pretty well. The 2 new leaves, these ones look a little bit yellow, and I'm guessing they're deficient in iron, and so when the iron gets here, hopefully that'll help. As for the lighting for this, I tried to go with the cheapest option, because really I just want a small little herb garden. I don't need anything to fruit, and I don't know much about lighting. What I ended up getting was a Sansi 35 watt plant grow light or something like that. If you just look up on YouTube, Sansi 35 watt, there's a bunch of videos. I just bought it off Amazon. It was about 35 bucks. And it has here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 LEDs. And so far, I have been having plant growth in here. Yeah, in this little Tupperware here, I just have some plant sprouting, some basil and stuff like that. So I'm hoping this light is enough for me, and this is all I need. Over here, I just have some cheap aquarium grow light that I got at the pet store for like 10 bucks. And I just moved this in today. And I guess we'll see how these plants do with this light. I'm not sure they're gonna do too well. So that is pretty much it. There's a bunch of other little details as far as PVC and stuff. one thing I forgot to mention was how this overflow works. So if you look up on YouTube DIY overflows, it's usually like a 1-unit thing that hangs over this, and I built a couple variations of that, and it worked fine. It worked great, but I wanted something a little bit more customized and something that could handle much more water than I needed, just in case. So this can handle quite a lot of water compared to the smaller overflows, which don't handle as much. And I actually built this as a custom design because most of the overflows, it pulls water from the top. Water comes from the top, it falls into a cup, and then it's siphoned from one cup into another. And so that way your siphon doesn't break. Pretty much what I did is once I understood how the overflow worked, I built a design that pretty much has a cover over it. And so water has to get pulled up from the bottom first, and then it overflows into the cup, and then is siphoned into the bed. And I really like this design a lot better. I just have a little zip tie around some fish netting down there around the cap, because we had some little babies and things in here that I didn't want getting sucked up. Another thing that I would recommend for people who are thinking about doing this is to get some little Cory catfish or something like that along the bottom, because they do a really good job of constantly moving little particles around and breaking them up into smaller forms and getting them sucked up over here. So this is pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, I probably won't be able to help you because I really don't know too much. If anyone here does know about aquaponics and sees any flaws in my systems or has any recommendations, please feel free to share it. Hope this helps you out. Thank you. Bye.